The galaxy was enormous, stretching beyond the eyes of even the most advanced explorers. Countless stars burned bright, and planets of every color and shape spun silently in space. Many species traveled from system to system, trading, exploring, and sometimes fighting. Yet one region of the galaxy remained untouched. It was called human space, and no alien had ever entered it willingly. Stories about human space filled the corridors of starports and council chambers. Ships that tried to approach vanished without warning. Some returned, reporting strange lights and sudden storms in the void. Others never came back. Entire fleets had been sent to investigate, only to disappear as though swallowed by space itself. Aliens whispered among themselves, saying that humans were hiding something, but no one knew what. In a small starport near the edge of human space, a young pilot named Taro prepared his ship for a journey that no one dared to make. Taro had grown up hearing the stories of humans, and unlike others, he felt curiosity rather than fear. He had studied old reports, maps, and scattered data from explorers who had tried and failed. The patterns were strange. The edges of human space seemed protected not by weapons or walls, but by something deeper, something invisible. Taro ran his hands over the controls of his ship. The small vessel was nimble, not made for battles, but for observation. He checked his navigation system carefully. Every sensor was calibrated, every system tested. He did not know what awaited him, but he felt a spark of excitement. This was not just a journey into unknown territory. This was a chance to understand a secret the galaxy had tried to uncover for centuries. As Taro approached the border of human space, the usual stars seemed to dim. Space itself felt different. The sensors on his ship picked up unusual energy readings, almost like a heartbeat in the void. Taro leaned closer to the screen, trying to interpret the signals. They were rhythmic, precise, and unlike anything he had seen before. It was not natural. It was intelligence. Something was controlling the space ahead. Taro remembered the warnings from older pilots. No one returns from human space, they had said. The humans are too clever, too advanced. Do not go there. But Taro's mind was not swayed by fear. He thought about the countless species that had underestimated humans, thinking them weak or slow to explore. From what he had learned, humans were different. They did not act like other civilizations. They did not expand aggressively. And yet, something in their methods kept the galaxy from entering their space. Hours passed as Taro studied the signals. Occasionally, his ship shivered as if the void itself was testing him. Every attempt to approach deeper triggered minor system glitches, small but precise obstacles that forced him to pause. It felt like the stars themselves were alive, responding to his presence. He realized then that humans had not just built ships or cities. They had built space itself into a shield, using intelligence that combined science, strategy, and something almost beyond comprehension. Despite the challenges, Taro's excitement grew. He was not just witnessing the unknown. He was seeing a glimpse of what humans had achieved, hidden quietly in the darkness. Aliens often assumed humans were primitive, slow to leave their homeworld. They had laughed at the idea of human ingenuity. But Taro began to understand why no species dared challenge them. Humans had learned how to survive and protect themselves in ways that seemed impossible. As night fell over his home star, Taro adjusted his course slightly. He decided to follow one of the faint signals he had detected. It pulsed steadily, like a distant beacon calling him forward. Taro felt a strange connection to it, as though the signal itself was aware of his presence. His hands tightened on the controls. This was the first step into a story that would change the galaxy's understanding of humans forever. Taro whispered to himself, not out of fear, but in awe. So this is why no one comes here. Humans are not just clever. They are extraordinary. And, with that thought, his ship moved forward into the border of human space. Every system was alert, every sensor reading watched carefully. Taro did not know what he would find, but he felt certain of one thing. The galaxy had never truly understood humans. That was about to change. In the quiet of the stars, the first human secret waited patiently. It was not hidden by walls or weapons. It was hidden by brilliance, unity, and a careful understanding of the universe itself. Taro was the first outsider to glimpse it, and the journey had only just begun. Taro's ship moved cautiously through the edge of human space. The stars seemed to shimmer differently here, as if they were part of a pattern only humans could control. The strange rhythmic signals he had detected earlier grew stronger. They were not random. They pulsed in sequences that suggested intelligence. Taro felt a mix of fear and excitement. He knew he was seeing something the galaxy had never seen before. He began to observe the planets in the region. Some were small and rocky, while others were lush and green. But the most remarkable thing was the evidence of human structures. Ancient cities, now abandoned, were scattered across planets and moons. They were built with precision far beyond what Taro had expected. Buildings were arranged in patterns that aligned with the stars, and enormous bridges connected distant mountains in ways that seemed impossible. Humans had not just survived in this region. They had shaped it. Taro adjusted the sensors on his ship to scan for energy sources. The readings were surprising. Even in areas that looked deserted, there were faint but steady energy emissions. They came from devices too advanced to be simple machines. It was as if humans had left behind technology that could last centuries without maintenance. Taro felt a growing sense of awe. The humans were not careless or weak. They had carefully built every structure, every system, as if planning for the galaxy to eventually discover them. While studying one planet, Taro noticed something unusual. A massive tower stood in the middle of a deserted city. It glowed faintly with light patterns that shifted constantly. As Taro focused his instruments, he realized the tower was sending signals in multiple directions at once. They were not just random messages, they contained information. The tower seemed to be observing the surrounding space, analyzing patterns, and possibly even predicting movement. Taro could not understand the full message, but he felt that humans had trained machines to think in ways that mirrored human intelligence. Taro recorded everything carefully. He knew that when he returned, his reports would astonish the galaxy. Many species had underestimated humans for centuries, thinking they were slow, fragile, or even backward. But now it was clear that humans had been preparing all along. They had quietly built a network of technology, intelligence, and strategy that no one had noticed. As Taro continued his journey, he encountered another phenomenon. Small robotic probes hovered in the skies of abandoned cities. They moved in perfect synchronization, like a flock of birds. Each probe adjusted its position in response to the others instantly, forming patterns that were both beautiful and precise. Taro realized that these machines were learning from each other. They could adapt to any situation and were likely capable of incredible problem-solving. Humans had designed not only machines, but also systems that could grow smarter over time. Taro felt a growing respect for humans. They were not aggressive or cruel. They had simply focused on mastering their environment. Other species expanded quickly, often through conquest or speed. Humans had taken a different path. They had studied, observed, and built a civilization that could survive and thrive without conflict. Their secret strength was in planning, intelligence, and unity. Hours turned into days as Taro explored more planets and moons. Every step revealed more evidence of human ingenuity. Cities were connected by energy networks that powered machines and communication systems for thousands of kilometers. Some planets had artificial forests that adjusted to weather changes automatically. Humans had even managed water and atmosphere in ways that allowed life to flourish in harsh conditions. Taro realized that humans had achieved something few species could imagine. They had learned to control nature without destroying it. One night, Taro sat in the cockpit, looking out at the stars. The signals around him pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. He thought about the stories he had heard before entering human space. Everyone had said humans were ordinary, limited to one small world. But he now understood that humans were extraordinary. They had created a civilization that combined knowledge, foresight, and harmony with nature. That was their true strength. Taro decided to follow one of the glowing signals further into the depths of human space. It seemed to respond to his ship, almost as if inviting him forward. He felt a mix of curiosity and caution. He did not know what he would find, but he was determined to learn. This was more than a journey. It was a chance to understand why no species dared enter human territory. The further he went, the clearer it became. Humans had created a world that was not just advanced, but intelligent in every sense. Machines, cities, and energy systems were all connected, forming a network that seemed alive. It was not just technology. It was strategy, planning, and creativity made real. Taro realized that humans had not only prepared for threats, but had also built something that would teach the galaxy an important lesson. True power was not in conquest, but in wisdom, unity, and intelligence. As Taro prepared to approach the next signal, he whispered to himself, amazed by what he had seen. Humans are not what the galaxy thinks. They are more than clever. They are a force beyond imagination. And with that thought, Taro's journey deeper into human space continued, each step revealing more signs of human brilliance and the secret that had kept the galaxy away for so long. Taro's ship floated silently among the stars, moving deeper into human space. The signals he had been following grew stronger and more complex. Patterns of light twisted and shifted in ways that seemed almost alive. He adjusted his sensors, trying to understand what they meant. It was not just technology, it was intelligence. Something was watching, analyzing, and responding to him. Suddenly, a small object appeared ahead. It hovered calmly in the void, glowing with soft blue light. At first, Taro thought it was a piece of debris. Then he realized it moved with purpose. It rotated and shifted, adjusting its position as if aware of his presence. Taro's heart raced. This was unlike anything he had seen before. Humans were not supposed to travel this far, yet here was proof of their craft. The object emitted a series of patterns in light and energy. Taro's instruments tried to decode the sequence, but it was unlike any language or code he knew. The light pulses were precise, changing with intention. He realized that the probe was communicating, but not in words. It was sending information in a way that could only be understood by careful observation and logic. Taro decided to respond. He adjusted his ship's lights and sent back pulses in a similar pattern. The probe shifted closer, analyzing his response. Instantly, each movement and pulse seemed to test him, measuring his reactions. Taro understood that this was a test, not hostile, but careful. Humans were observing him, learning about him, and determining whether he was trustworthy. Hours passed as Taro interacted with the probe. He felt a strange connection. The patterns of light flowed between them like a conversation. He began to understand that humans had developed a method of communication that went beyond words. It relied on logic, timing, and awareness. The probe seemed to know what he would do next, adjusting its actions accordingly. Taro felt both challenged and amazed. During this interaction, Taro noticed something remarkable. The probe could manipulate energy fields around it, creating temporary shields and moving objects in space without touching them. It was as if humans had mastered physics in ways no other species had imagined. The probe moved with precision, calculating outcomes and responding. Instantly, Taro realized that humans had not only built machines, but had also trained them to think and act independently while following their creators. Intentions perfectly. Taro sent a signal asking the probe to guide him to a nearby structure. It responded immediately, leading him to a massive human installation floating above a small planet. The structure was unlike anything Taro had seen before. It pulsed with energy, its surface covered in patterns that shifted constantly. It was alive with purpose. The probe guided him closer, hovering at his side as if inviting him to explore. Inside the installation, Taro saw machines working together in perfect synchronization. Small drones moved in formation, repairing structures and managing energy. Systems, lights flashed in patterns that were not random but organized, forming a network of intelligence. Taro realized that humans had built systems that could operate on their own, adapt to changes, and continue functioning for centuries without direct supervision. Taro watched the probe carefully. It seemed almost alive, responding to every change in the environment with perfect timing. He understood then why no species had ever entered human space successfully. Humans had created a defense system that was not about weapons or aggression. It was about intelligence, prediction, and control. Any intruder would be observed, tested, and neutralized without humans even needing to appear. As the day passed, Taro's fear turned into respect. Humans were not careless or aggressive. They had mastered the art of survival and protection. Their true power was in planning, in the ability to observe and understand other species without revealing themselves. Every system he saw, every machine, and every signal showed that humans had thought far ahead, preparing for any challenge the galaxy might bring. Taro realized that he was witnessing something extraordinary. Humans had created a world that combined technology, strategy, and intelligence in perfect harmony. They did not need to conquer others to be powerful. Their strength lay in their ability to predict, to adapt, and to act with precision. He felt honored to be the first outsider to witness this level of ingenuity. As Taro left the installation, the probe followed him briefly before returning to its post. He felt a sense of awe and curiosity. Humans were not hiding because they feared the galaxy. They were hiding because they had mastered themselves and their space. They were ready for any challenge, and the galaxy would only discover their full power when humans chose to reveal it. Taro whispered to himself, amazed by what he had seen. Humans are not ordinary. They are far beyond anything the galaxy knows. Their mind, their machines, their plans, they are extraordinary. And with that thought, Taro set course for the next part of his journey, deeper into human space, ready to uncover more secrets of a civilization that had kept the galaxy at bay for centuries. Word of Taro's journey spread quickly among nearby systems. Many alien species had long wondered why human space remained empty and unexplored. Some were curious, others fearful. Despite the mystery, several fleets decided to test the borders. They were not like Taro's small ship. These were massive fleets, equipped with advanced weapons, shields, and warships designed for exploration and defense. They were confident that humans were overestimated. The first fleet approached the outer border of human space. The commanders laughed at the idea that a species confined to one system could pose a threat. But as their ships drew closer, something unusual began to happen. Navigation systems faltered. Maps that had been reliable for decades showed errors. Some stars appeared in the wrong positions. The fleet's sensors picked up strange energy fluctuations, shifting and moving in ways that no one could explain. Despite these problems, the fleet pressed forward. Then sudden storms of energy erupted in empty space, pushing ships away without touching them. Shields held, but the maneuvers required were impossible to predict. Ships began drifting off course. The fleet commander ordered retreat, but even turning back was difficult. Ships that attempted to return reported strange anomalies blocking their path. The humans had created a defense unlike anything the galaxy had known. Another fleet arrived, determined to investigate the failure of the first. They used stealth ships and fast scouts, thinking they could avoid detection. But as soon as they crossed the border, they encountered invisible forces that slowed their engines, rerouted energy, and caused instruments to fail. The fleet realized that they were not facing weapons, they were facing intelligence. Every obstacle seemed to anticipate their moves. It was as if human space itself was alive, responding to intruders and testing them. Taro observed from a safe distance, fascinated. He realized that the humans' true power was not in fighting. They had built systems that could predict behavior, respond instantly, and protect themselves without direct confrontation. Any fleet attempting entry would face challenges they could not overcome, not because of strength, but because of strategy and foresight. Humans have used intelligence as a shield. Meanwhile, alien leaders debated. Some wanted to attack with more force. Others argued that humans were too advanced to challenge directly. Messages between fleets and governments grew tense. Many species began to fear that any attempt to enter human space could end in disaster. Even fleets that had survived. The first obstacles returned with reports of strange energy patterns and invisible barriers. These stories spread across the galaxy, reinforcing the legend of human space and the brilliance of its inhabitants. Taro single quotes, as small ship continued deeper into the territory. Unlike the fleets, he was not seen as a threat. The human sensors and automated systems appeared to analyze intent, not just presence. Taro realized that humans were careful observers, capable of judging motives accurately. They did not attack blindly. They used information, planning, and intelligence to decide the outcome. This was why no species had ever succeeded in entering human space with force. Humans had designed systems that could adapt to any approach. As Taro explored, he noticed more evidence of human design. Energy grids stretched across planets, linking cities, research centers, and defenses. Machines worked autonomously, repairing structures and maintaining the environment. It was not chaotic, it was precise and harmonious. Each system supported another, creating layers of protection and observation that made human space nearly impossible to enter without permission. Taro could imagine the reaction of alien fleets. If they had witnessed this directly, they would have seen their strongest weapons and fastest ships fail against invisible barriers. They would have understood that humans did not rely on aggression to protect themselves. Instead, humans relied on preparation, intelligence, and the ability to anticipate any move. It was a lesson in strategy that the galaxy had never seen before. As night fell over the border, Taro reflected on what he had witnessed. Humans were not just hiding. They were demonstrating a form of brilliance that combined technology, foresight, and careful observation. Every obstacle, every automated defense, every energy pattern was a sign of thought and planning. Taro understood that the humans' true power was in their minds and their ability to design systems that could think and act as they would. He whispered to himself, amazed by the realization. They do not need to fight. They only need to prepare. Taro set his course further into human space, following faint signals that promised even greater discoveries. He knew that the galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. The fleets that had tried to enter would not understand what humans were capable of. But Taro had seen the signs. He had seen the brilliance and ingenuity that had kept the galaxy away, and he was determined to learn more about the secret that no species had ever uncovered. Taro's ship glided silently through human space, following the strongest signal yet. It pulsed with precision, steady and deliberate, as if guiding him forward. Every system on his ship was alert, every sensor focused on the energy patterns. Ahead, he felt a mixture of excitement and awe. He was about to discover the secret that had kept the galaxy from entering human space for centuries. Finally, Taro reached the edge of a vast planetary system. The central planet glowed with life, its surface a blend of green forests, blue oceans, and gleaming cities. At first, it seemed like any other world. But as he looked closer, he saw signs of something extraordinary. The cities were perfectly arranged, connected by energy pathways that stretched across continents. Machines moved in synchronized patterns, tending to the land and the structures with perfect timing. Humans had not just settled this world, they had shaped it in ways that combined nature and technology seamlessly. Taro guided his ship closer, keeping a safe distance. He noticed small vehicles moving in formation, but they were not crowded or chaotic. Each one adjusted its path smoothly, as if following an invisible command. Energy fields shimmered around the cities, protecting them while remaining unobtrusive. It was clear that humans had built not just a homeworld, but a system of intelligent defense and observation. A small human probe approached Taro's ship. It hovered without sound, glowing softly. Its movements were precise, deliberate, and unthreatening. Taro understood that this probe was studying him, testing his intentions. It moved to guide him toward a larger structure in orbit above the planet. As he followed, he felt the true scope of human design. This was not simply a world defended by technology. It was a world defended by intelligence, foresight, and coordination that spanned every level of human society. The orbiting structure revealed itself fully as Taro approached. It was enormous, stretching thousands of kilometers across. Energy streams connected it to the planet below, creating a network that pulsed with life. Machines moved in perfect harmony, carrying out repairs, analyzing signals, and maintaining defenses. Taro realized that humans had designed a system capable of functioning for centuries without direct control, predicting problems before they happened and responding with flawless precision. Inside the structure, Taro saw the true secret of humans. A central hub contained a network of interconnected machines and control systems. Lights flickered in complex sequences, patterns shifting and changing constantly. Taro could feel the intelligence behind them. These machines were not merely tools. They were extensions of human minds, capable of analyzing countless variables, predicting outcomes, and coordinating responses across vast distances. Humans had trained their technology to think like they did, to act with the foresight and wisdom of their creators. But the most astonishing revelation came when Taro witnessed the humans themselves. They moved with calm purpose, communicating not just with words, but with signals, gestures, and coordinated thought. Entire fleets of ships, machines, and cities seemed to operate as one. The humans were connected to their technology in a way that amplified their natural intelligence, making them able to respond instantly to any threat. It was clear now why no species had ever entered human space successfully. Humans had mastered cooperation, prediction, and strategy to a degree that made them untouchable. Taro felt a deep sense of respect and wonder. Humans were not aggressive conquerors. They were protectors of their world and their space. They had built systems that could observe, adapt, and respond without revealing themselves until they chose to. Any intruder would face not weapons alone, but intelligence, strategy, and perfect coordination. The galaxy had misunderstood humans for centuries, seeing only what they wanted to see. While the true power of humanity remained hidden, he watched as humans moved together, sharing knowledge instantly through machines and signals. Each person contributed to a greater network of awareness, amplifying their collective understanding. Taro realized that humans had not only developed technology, they had enhanced their minds and their society to work as one. This unity was their greatest strength, and it explained why no species dared to enter their space. Taro whispered to himself in awe, "This is why they are untouchable. Not because of weapons, but because of unity, intelligence, and foresight." As he left the orbiting structure, the probe guided him back to open space. Taro knew he had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans were ready for any challenge, but they had chosen patience and observation over aggression. Their secret was not fear, was brilliance, preparation, and cooperation that spanned every part of their civilization. Taro set a course deeper into human space, determined to learn more. The galaxy had long misunderstood humans, but he had glimpsed the truth. Humans were not just clever, they were extraordinary. And the galaxy would soon have to face the reality of a species that had mastered not only technology, but strategy, intelligence, and the unity of mind and machine. News traveled quickly across the galaxy. Reports from explorers like Taro and the strange failures of fleets trying to enter human space had spread far and wide. Aliens debated, argued, and speculated. Some were afraid. Others were fascinated. The realization grew that humans were not only clever, they were extraordinary, and their abilities were far beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. Taro watched from a distance as fleets and diplomats reacted to what they had heard. Leaders of alien governments called emergency meetings. They discussed strategy, defense, and diplomacy. Many species feared humans, not because they had attacked, but because they understood humans could respond to any threat with perfect precision. It was not brute force that made humans powerful. It was intelligence, planning, and unity. Some species sent envoys to the borders of human space, hoping to observe from a safe distance. They studied the signals, energy patterns, and automated systems, trying to understand the human strength. But every attempt to approach was met with subtle obstacles. Navigation systems would misalign, energy fields would shift, and probes would appear to guide or test intruders. Every action reminded outsiders that humans had mastered not only technology but observation, prediction, and defense without aggression. Taro realized that the galaxy had misunderstood humans for centuries. Many thought humans were ordinary, confined to a single star system or lacking ambition. But now the truth was clear. Humans had prepared carefully, building a civilization that could survive and thrive without ever needing to fight. Their cities, machines, and energy networks were all connected, forming a system of intelligence and protection that no fleet could overcome. As Taro continued exploring, he witnessed how humans interacted with each other. They worked in perfect harmony, sharing knowledge and coordinating every activity through networks that combined thought and technology. Machines acted as extensions of human intelligence, allowing individuals to accomplish tasks that would be impossible alone. Every movement, every decision was guided by foresight and cooperation. Taro realized that humans' greatest strength was not their machines, but their ability to unite mind and technology into one seamless force. The galaxy slowly began to understand this. Some species were inspired. They saw that humans had achieved something extraordinary without aggression or conquest. Others were intimidated, realizing that any attempt to challenge humans could fail before the first strike was made. The stories of fleets retreating, probes analyzing intruders, and invisible barriers protecting human territory became lessons in strategy and caution. Taro felt proud to have witnessed the truth. Humans had waited patiently, building their strength. Quietly, they had not rushed into the galaxy, nor had they sought to dominate. They had prepared, studied, and designed systems that allowed them to survive, observe, and respond to any threat. The galaxy was finally seeing that human power was not in weapons or size, but in unity, intelligence, and planning. Across distant star systems, leaders began to adjust their thinking. Some proposed alliances with humans, hoping to learn from their abilities. Others reinforced their defenses, knowing that humans could protect themselves effortlessly if provoked. Explorers and scientists were eager to study human technology, understanding that there was much to learn from a species that had mastered strategy, observation, and adaptation. Taro continued his journey through human space, observing more examples of human ingenuity. Cities ran smoothly without constant supervision. Energy flowed where it was needed, and machines adapted to changes instantly. Humans had created a civilization that could endure centuries, protect itself, and grow smarter, without constant interference. It was clear that this was not accidental. Every detail was planned and perfected, a demonstration of foresight and intelligence beyond ordinary imagination. Taro realized that the galaxy's view of humans had changed forever. They were no longer a species to underestimate. The truth was clear. Humans were extraordinary, and their power lay not in aggression, but in brilliance, unity, and careful preparation. Any species approaching them would face a challenge they were not prepared for, not because humans wanted conflict, but because humans had mastered defense, observation, and strategy. As he looked toward the glowing cities below, Taro whispered to himself in awe. Humans are not just clever, they are extraordinary. The galaxy finally sees it now, even if they do not fully understand it yet. With that realization, Taro set his course for the next stage of his journey. He knew humans would not reveal everything immediately. They had waited centuries, and they would continue to act carefully. But the galaxy was awake to their presence, and the time of misunderstanding was over. Humans had quietly shown their strength, and the galaxy could no longer ignore it. The galaxy had watched for centuries as human space remained empty, mysterious, and untouchable. Fleets had failed, explorers had returned with wonder or fear, and civilizations debated endlessly. Now, after Taro's journey and the growing awareness of human brilliance, the time had come for humans to make their presence known. But they did not rush, and they did not boast. Humans acted with patience, intelligence, and calm purpose. From the orbit of their homeworld, humans sent a delegation to meet alien representatives. Ships glided silently, their design simple yet elegant. Energy patterns surrounding the ships pulsed gently, signaling awareness and peace rather than aggression. Leaders of alien species watched in awe as the human delegation arrived. The legends of human space had prepared them for a threat, but what they saw was not fearsome. It was extraordinary restraint and wisdom. Taro followed closely, his small ship moving with the humans. He had witnessed their cities, their machines, and their intelligence, but this was different. For the first time, humans were stepping forward deliberately to meet the galaxy. He could see the difference between humans and other species. While many civilizations relied on force, humans relied on knowledge, cooperation, and foresight. Their calm approach conveyed confidence without arrogance. When humans spoke to the alien leaders, their words were clear, simple, and honest. They shared insights into their technology, their methods of coordination, and their approach to exploration and defense. They did not boast of strength, yet their intelligence was evident in every explanation. Alien leaders quickly realized that humans were not just clever, they were extraordinary, and their ability to coordinate and plan exceeded any known standard. Taro observed the reaction of the galaxy. Some species felt relief, realizing that humans did not intend to conquer them. Others felt awe, recognizing the centuries of preparation and intelligence that had allowed humans to remain safe and unseen. Across systems, scientists, diplomats, and explorers studied the human ships, probes, and signals. Humans had taught the galaxy a lesson without lifting a weapon. True power was intelligence, cooperation, and foresight. Humans demonstrated their abilities quietly. Small fleets moved in perfect synchronization. Energy grids adjusted automatically to changes in space, and machines responded instantly to commands. Everything was connected. Every action had purpose, yet nothing seemed forced. The aliens understood that humans had achieved harmony between mind, technology, and environment in ways no other species had attempted. Taro felt pride as he watched, knowing he had seen the secret firsthand. The humans also explained their philosophy. They did not seek conflict, conquest, or domination. They had prepared their civilization to survive, observe, and respond to threats intelligently. They valued unity, strategy, and cooperation over aggression. Their patience had allowed them to develop extraordinary skills, and now they offered the galaxy a choice: to learn, respect, and cooperate, or to risk underestimating a species unlike any other. Alien leaders listened carefully, realizing that humans had changed the balance of understanding in the galaxy. Previous assumptions about weakness, limitations, or simplicity were shattered. Humans had mastered not only technology but also intelligence, foresight, and social unity. They had quietly observed, prepared, and waited. Now, the galaxy could no longer ignore their presence or their power. Taro followed the human delegation as it departed, heading back toward the edges of human space. He reflected on what he had seen. Humans had demonstrated that true strength was not aggression, not weapons, and not size. True strength was unity, wisdom, and intelligence. They had patiently built systems that could survive centuries, adapt to challenges, and protect themselves without unnecessary conflict. As humans slowly returned to their homeworld, they left the galaxy with a clear message. Humans were not conquerors, but a species to respect and learn from. Every alien, every fleet, and every civilization that had doubted them now understood the truth. Humans were extraordinary, and their example would inspire and challenge the galaxy for generations. Taro whispered to himself, amazed by the journey he had witnessed. The galaxy finally understands. Humans are not ordinary. They are a force of intelligence, unity, and wisdom. And as the stars stretched endlessly around him, Taro knew that the age of misunderstanding was over. Humans had stepped forward, not with force, but with brilliance. The galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The secret of human space had been revealed, and the galaxy would remember it forever.